What's up, everybody? It's Punk Rock Talk, episode 19. Here we go. You're listening to today's guests, Oil Change. They're on our Spotify playlist, Rebellion Noise 2022. If you're not following the playlist, you need to do that. We update it every Monday. And it's always in conjunction with whoever our guest is going to be on the show that week. It's a good way for you to hear some bands that maybe you haven't heard before. And sometimes we put up some older shit. So you might hear an old favorite that you hadn't listened to in a long time or you forgot about. Again, that's Rebellion Noise 2022. It's on our Spotify page. You need to follow the Havoc Spotify. There's more stuff coming there too. Have you missed an episode of Punk Rock Talk? Don't worry about it. They're all on the Havoc's YouTube channel. New episodes get uploaded every Thursday, so today's episode will be uploaded there tomorrow. You can get notifications from our YouTube channel by clicking the bell icon. That'll let you know as soon as we post new content there. And we are preparing more new content for that, not just episodes of Punk Rock Talk. Are you in a band? Do you need merchandise? Then you need to check out Dead and Buried Inc. They are there to handle all of your printing needs. That's Dead and Buried Inc. INC, not INK. You can find them here on Instagram. Their handle is at Dead and Buried Inc. Again, that's INC, not INK. Or you can find them on their website, deadandburiedinc.com. You can find Havoc merchandise there too. So if you want some of that, that's where you need to go, deadandburiedinc.com. If you have questions for Oil Change or myself during this interview, tap that question mark icon on your screen. You can put your questions there. Please don't put them in the comments section. I generally don't see them, and I'm not going to scroll through the list to go back to one if I see it fly across the screen. So again, just tap that question mark icon to submit your questions. Now, before I invite our guests on here, I promised that there was going to be a major announcement today on Punk Rock Talk. And I'm going to be talking about it throughout the duration of this interview. But I'm going to go ahead and just reveal it right now. If you see that image right there, that's the back of my leather jacket that I've had since the very early Havoc days. It's the jacket I'm wearing on the Our Rebellion Has Just Begun record cover and on the back cover. It's been with me for a long time through a lot of things. I'm actually surprised that I even still have it, to be honest. But since reforming the Havoc, I've had a lot of time to think about my life, my path in music, and what it means to me, and what the punk scene means to me, what this movement means to me. And, you know, it's where I found my identity as as a teenager, and it's where I learned to become a musician. And through that experience, I also became a part of a community of people that love this music so much that it becomes completely intertwined in their lives. And the bands are the ones that really continue to carry on this message of rebellion and unity. And rebellion may mean a lot of different things to people. And for the Havoc, that rebellion was always about being yourself, regardless of what anybody says or what they think about you, and to stand your ground with whatever it is you believe, whatever it is that brings meaning and purpose to your life. All that to say, I am launching Rebellion Noise Records. There is an Instagram page for it right now. You can find it at rebellion_noise_records. And we're going to be working with a lot of great bands in the near future, with something else that is very important to the scene, and a relationship that I value very much. Bill Johnston of 40 Ounce Booking in Atlanta. We're going to be working together to promote 40 Fest. There's a lot of great bands that are going to be playing next year's 40 Fest, and we're going to be announcing them every week here on Punk Rock Talk. And we have a lot of great plans for Rebellion Noise Records, as well as 40 Ounce Booking and 40 Fest. So this is the place that you want to tune into each week to find out what's going to be happening with both of those things. Having said that, I'm going to go ahead and invite our guests. I'm excited to have Oil Change be on this show. For the last, I'd say 9 months or so. There they are.
Oh.
What's up, guys and gal?
Hey, what's up?
How you guys doing?
Doing well. How are you? Good.
Doing great. First of all, I just want to say thanks so much for being my guest today on Punk Rock Talk. I have been so thoroughly impressed with how diligent your band is with social media, and you're continually booking new shows. It's obvious to anyone that's paying attention that you're really grinding and putting in the work. So congrats on that.
Thank you. Absolutely. Thank you very much.
Before we get deep into this interview, there's probably people watching that aren't familiar with the band and aren't familiar with who you are, what your names are. So I'd just like for you to give an introduction to everybody, what your names are, what you play in the band, and where you're from.
I'm Matt. I play guitar and do vocals, and from Grand Rapids, Michigan.
All right, I'm Sean. I play bass, do vocals, also Grand Rapids.
I'm Brittany. I play drums. I'm from South Dakota, and Matt's actually my husband.
Well, awesome, guys. You guys just put out a new song that we just played.
Yeah.
And what I love about it is it's kind of like one of those songs that right off the bat, you know that you're in for a good time and kind of like a carefree experience. And it's fun and anthemic, and melodic and just hooky. And, listening to your other songs is kind of more of the same, but each song definitely has its own identity.
Yeah.
What would you say has been like your biggest influence for your sound?
Dude, I think our biggest influence probably just having so many influences.
Yeah, we're kind of all over the board in reality.
I mean, our music like taste in punk rock spans from like psychobilly to oi and everything in between. So I think we like pull from everything, and
yeah, definitely.
it just like turns out what it turns out to be. None of these songs that we do sound the way they sound when like me and Matt just like are on our acoustic guitars right now.
Oh yeah, one of the ones.
After a while, they just sound the way they do.
One of the ones from the first EP, like shit, I wrote that like a few years ago as like an acoustic song, and this is what it turned into.
That's awesome. Another thing that I love actually is the logo that you're sitting in front of right now.
Yeah.
It's very Grateful Dead looking.
Yeah, I stole it from them, actually.
The first time I saw that, I was like, man, that looks like the Grateful Dead vibe, but like way cooler.
Yeah, we stole it.
Slightly.
Well, like the first time I saw that logo and then I listened to that band, I was like, what the fuck is this?
Yeah, that's the point. Punks hate the Grateful Dead, right? You're supposed to hate the Grateful Dead. So we're like, fuck you, our logo's steal your face.
Are any of you actually Grateful Dead fans?
I am actually like my favorite band on earth. I actually fucking love the Grateful Dead. But I know that you're not supposed to, so I guess secret fucking out.
Nah, man, fuck all that. You just be who you are. You like what you like. There's nothing wrong with it.
Oh yeah.
I actually had a conversation with someone years ago, and something that they said just really resonated with me. I think about it all the time, and I tell it to other people all the time. I was asking her what any guilty pleasures she had in terms of music. And she looked at me and she was like, I don't have any guilty pleasures for anything. She said, whatever I like, and I'm not ashamed of it. Why should I hide who I am and what I like, including music?
That's awesome.
I like everything about that.
Yeah, that's a great statement. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I think that whole like kind of cliche of like, if you're in the punk scene and you like shit that is not a part of it, then it's not cool. I think that needs to go out the fucking door, man. I hate that shit.
I know that exactly. That was the whole point of the Deadhead shit. Like, was to say fuck you to that. Like, I know everyone here is fucking listening to more than just fucking Fear. You know, like I know that. So like, let's just play with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like, I think that when you have those influences outside of punk rock and you're in a band, but you apply those influences, then it makes your sound original and more interesting.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, like I said, we're all over the board. I mean, shit, this morning, me and Britt were just listening to like Dwight Yoakam.
Yeah. Dwight Yoakam.
Dude,
So.
Dwight Yoakam is quite the character. He's in this movie.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen that movie Sling Blade?
Yeah. Totally.
Yes.
So for anybody out there that is watching this interview that is not familiar with that movie or Dwight Yoakam, you need to watch it because it's fucking hilarious because he plays the cutest asshole on planet Earth.
Oh, shit's so funny.
Yeah, and Billy Bob Thornton's in that movie, and like it's just wild. Like, I there's so many things about that movie that, like, as I was watching it for the first time, I think it was like probably like every 3 minutes, the question, what the fuck, went through my head.
Oh, yeah. I was very young when I saw that on like VHS, and I was like, what am I watching?
Yeah. Yeah, that movie's hilarious. And another like crazy thing about Dwight Yoakam is like, he doesn't like to show his face on any of his record, like the record covers or the promotions. He's always has his head down and his hat covering him. Like,
He doesn't like, yeah, he's super shy. He doesn't like his face being shown on things.
Yeah.
It's kind of
anybody like in the music industry would tell you like that is the absolute worst idea. Like, you need to show your face. But for him, that's like how he's branded his whole career.
Oh, we're mysterious, dude.
Yeah, it works for him. It looks great. He's awesome.
Let's take a couple steps back here. I do this with every guest because, for one, I just really want to know. It's the thing that intrigues me the most about the bands. Just the humanity and who these people really are and where they come from. So let's talk about that. I'd love to know what you guys all were like as kids and what kind of led you into this fucking crazy scene and how you all met and eventually formed your band.
Let's go first.
Britt, why don't you go first?
Who's going first?
Brittany.
Me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I guess since we were talking about Dwight Yoakam, that's who got me when I was like 4. My first like love of music and like first crush was Dwight Yoakam. And my papa like sent a autograph off, and he actually mailed it back to me, and it was the biggest deal. And that was like my first experience of like loving a musician, like realizing that he was like a good person, took the time to mail it back. So as like a little kid, I grew up, but my dad was actually a musician always. He was in all kinds of bands, but the last one he was in was called Peppermint Creeps, and he was a drummer. And I actually am playing his drum set that I inherited now. So kind of a crazy full circle with that. But yeah, I kind of got sidetracked on the dad thing. But just kind of always went through like the emo stage, you know, to the punk stage. My best friends, Naya and Shasta, got me into the street punk thing, and then we started going to all kinds of music festivals put on by Tony and Michelle. Actually, I don't think they were together at that point yet, but Matt and I met at the very first Fire Rock that Tony put on.
Yeah.
Back in, or Tony and Michelle, whatever year that was, 2013.
13 or 14, I think it was 13.
Somewhere around there. So yeah, we literally ended up staying at the same hotel, and he knocked on our door, and literally it was pretty much love at first sight. And I moved across the country to
And now
be his girlfriend, and
we're married.
yeah. I was actually like a big fan of the Chernobyl babies, so I was pretty excited when I met Matt and everybody. Totally fangirl.
Oh man.
So yeah, I mean, in a nutshell, that's my story.
Okay, so I have to ask you something.
Yeah.
Because part of your history, is something that I was not aware of. When you're talking about the Peppermint Creeps, you're talking about the band from Los Angeles, right?
Yeah.
So I remember when that band was super active in the Hollywood scene. And like one of the guys, fuck, I can't remember his name, but I would see him at shows all the time. Like in like full makeup and whatever.
Yeah.
And then one day I went to Burger King and there was this like punk rock looking dude sitting there, and he recognized me and he was like, "Hey Jason, what's up?" And I'm like, "Oh, not much, man." And I had no idea who it was. And then he was like, "Oh, you probably don't recognize me. I'm so-and-so from the Peppermint Creeps." And my mind was blown.
What? That's
Yeah.
crazy. That's such a what a small world.
Yeah,
That's amazing.
it's crazy.
Wow.
But
That's
unfortunately, that guy passed away. Like, I can't remember how long ago it was. It's been several years at this point.
That's
my
not really
dad.
that was your dad.
Oh fuck.
Yeah,
What?
that was your
That's
dad.
crazy.
Okay, so talk about a small world.
What? Okay.
There it is
Thanks,
again.
Dad. My dad's here with us apparently.
That is so wild. Well,
Okay.
I'm sorry to bring up something that I'm sure is somewhat of a painful subject, but
Wow,
like,
that's amazing.
Rad, dude.
That's really cool. That like makes my day.
Yeah, that's wild.
That's
Yeah,
cool.
every interaction I had with him, he was cool as fuck.
He was, everybody loved him. He was the best. So it means a lot to me to be able, I never ever planned on playing drums, but in 2020 in lockdown, Matt and Sean had reconnected and started to, play music, and just for fun, they were like, Matt pretty much just taught me how to play drums in lockdown.
Wow,
And
that's really cool.
on my dad's drum set.
Yeah.
Wow.
So that's how, and Sean was just always playing music with us, and then one day we were like, well, should we just be in a band? So,
like, as hard as the pandemic was for everyone, I think actually a lot of really cool shit stemmed from it.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
The Havoc, like, had already been discussing reforming prior to the pandemic starting, and like had officially decided to do it right at the beginning of 2020. And then like when the pandemic started in March, we kind of had to like regroup, but at the same time, it was like, it kind of gave us incentive to like, push things forward even more.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Totally.
So it's just really cool that you guys made good use of that time, and like that you, Britt, that you were able to learn an instrument, and like, look at the result of that. You guys, have this band now, and a lot of good shit is happening.
Yeah, absolutely.
Hell yeah.
She fucking knocked it out of the park, dude. Like
Thank you.
the like speed that she fucking learned the shit was insane. So
Thank
she kills it every time. Like she's playing on a fucking stage now. So
Well, apparently it's in her DNA.
it is, dude. It is.
Very much so.
Yeah, you can tell.
I'm convinced that my dad's spirits just like came down and gave me drum lessons. Like, I don't know. Nothing else makes sense. So that's my theory.
I have to ask, Britt, is that part of why you have your hair dyed black and green?
Yeah, it totally is. It's
Yeah.
just small. Too. Purple and green was like a big Peppermint Creek color thing.
Right.
And my dad is purple, so purple and green.
Yeah, and for anybody that's not familiar with that band, like, I'm sure there's still videos up on YouTube.
Yeah.
But the cool thing, like, about that band, like, there was so much, like, visual stimulation because it was theatrical. And, like, that's one of my favorite things in the world is bands that are like, you know what? Like, let's be original with this shit. And,
Yeah.
because, like, some people think the whole theatrical thing is just too gimmicky and whatever. But for me, I'm a huge fan of that because I think it just sparks this whole other level of creativity. And so, anyway, for anybody that's watching, you should go on YouTube and check them out, so you can see and hear what we're talking about.
Yeah.
They're awesome.
Yeah. They were great. They are great. They're really very, very talented, different, amazing group of people. And I'm still very close. They're all family to me. So we all talk on a regular basis, and they could be watching right now. So if you guys are watching, hi.
Fucking cool.
Yeah.
So, Matt and Sean, let's talk a little bit about you guys too, like your youth and kind of what led you into the scene, what you were like as a kid, that whole thing.
Yeah, so so me and Sean grew up in the same town, just like a small kind of hickish town outside of Grand Rapids. And at least me, like, you know, I always liked music. My dad played like mandolin, and you know, I got into like say Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers and like Queen and shit like that when I was younger. And then I don't know, me and a buddy just we got into the whole skateboarding, which I think is a common thing.
Yeah.
And we just go skate like in town like every fucking day, all day. And his brother had like a trailer down the way that we just skate over to and hang out at sometimes. And like he was into punk rock and hung out with some of like the older punk rocker dudes from town. Because in a weird way, we had for like a small town, we had a pretty solid punk scene.
It's very weird.
It's really weird, but it was
a cow town. A lot of punk bands and punks have come from it.
So we'd like, you know, we were like 13, 14, and we go hang out at his brother's house, and like Sean would be there, or Tony Gazzalio would be there, and shit like that. And then I remember like one day, like his brother gave us this burned CD, which no one has anymore, but it was like a burned mix CD that had like it was like the Virus, Misfits, LCB, Anti-Heroes, like fuck Casualties, all over the board. And shit, we were just like super hooked after that. And yeah, then in like high school, you know, just pretty much just hooked on punk after that. And then me and a few buddies were like, fuck it, let's like I had been learning how to play guitar, didn't know shit. And we're like, fuck it, let's just start a band. And we did, and started going down to Grand Rapids, playing shows at this punk club that actually just came back called Skeletones in Grand Rapids. There's like an all-ages venue. Everyone was welcome. Everyone could come hang out. It was fucking amazing. Like, place you just go. It doesn't matter what the show was. Just go hang out. Punk rockers down the street. And then, yeah, a few years later, like when the Babies were going, these dudes just called me out of the blue to they were like I don't remember what happened. Eric like fucked up his hand or something like that.
He just quit the band.
Okay, well one of the dudes quit the band. I don't know. And then they're like, hey, you want to come play this fest in Denver with us? We need someone to play. And I didn't have a job at the time, and I was like, I mean, fuck it.
Dude learned an entire set in the back seat of a fucking car on guitar while we fucking drove to Denver.
He's amazing.
That's awesome.
And then, yeah, we just started fucking touring with the Babies and doing shit with that. And yeah.
You know, I think that coming from a small cow town, like you said, there's something to that, because where I grew up was very similar. It's much more developed now, but it's still not quite like as big as, you know, a major metropolitan area or anything. But growing up in Oklahoma, it's kind of like that same shit. Like, you're surrounded by all these people that have such a, I would say, a narrow mind.
Yeah.
For
Yeah.
real.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like, you know, if you're not like shoveling horse shit and interested in being a farmer or hunting or any of that, then they think that you're some alien from another planet.
Yeah. Yeah. That sounds.
And I think like when you're kind of forced to feel like an outcast, it kind of shifts your perspective to things that are more on the outside, you know, of what's right in front of you. And punk rock is just there. You know, and it just speaks to you like, hey, fuck those people. Come over here, because this is way cooler anyway.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
Definitely a thing.
Let's talk a little bit more about your music and what you guys have in the works right now. I know you've been busy recording, So let's talk a little bit about that and kind of what your future plans are.
We just got out of the studio. Everything's mixed and mastered and pretty much sent over to Kurt with Dismantled. So it's I mean, we sent you got a little sneak preview, and we're pretty much just waiting for it to be pressed. We did release the single. We did give Greg Lonesome from Rock and Roll Manifesto one track to play exclusively on his show. Would be the title track, Unfinished. So you can listen to it there, anyone. He plays it. But yeah, we're just trying to pump this record out and hopefully like get out of the state and start moving our feet a little. We missed out on that Sounds of the Street because I got COVID. So that was like a big moment for us where we were going to get out of the fucking state. And, you know, the fucking bastard got me. So, you know, now we're waiting.
Yeah.
Man, that whole time, like when bands were just starting to get back out on the road, I can't tell you how many bands I saw say, oh shit, we're wrong, we're not going because so-and-so has COVID. Or they were in the middle of a tour and they're like, fuck it, we got to go home, someone got COVID.
Yep.
Man, like what a fucking nightmare.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's like, you don't know, it's hard to make the call, like you got to be like honest and like you don't want to like get like your friends sick and shit like that, but it's like a bummer when you got to like hit up your homies and be like, sorry dude, I got to fucking cancel the show. I'm fucking sick and I'm not trying to spread the shit around.
Right.
Suck. Yeah.
Well, living through that, like, I mean, people our age, we never lived through anything like that before. And,
right.
I don't think the world has ever seen something that has impacted literally every corner of the world like COVID did. And, like people trying to politicize the shit. And it's like, hey, man, fuck you. Like, it's a public health crisis. Like, if you're out there being irresponsible, like, what the fuck are you doing, Like,
right.
And for what, So I actually commend you for being responsible and saying, hey, I've got to make the right choice here and we can't do this show. So as shitty as it is to cancel a show, I think you did it for the right reasons.
Yeah. We'll definitely make it up, we got plans. So.
Yeah.
Another thing I wanted to ask you guys is, what is the origin of the name Oil Change? What inspired you guys to go with that?
Me and Sean we're trying to figure out a name. We had a few ideas, and then just randomly you just sent me that idea, and
I don't know,
it became a thing.
Yeah, when I thought of the name, I was like, before we're calling ourselves Recharge, but there's 5 or 6 punk bands called Recharge that are all using the Discharge logo, like we were. So I don't know, I was just thinking about Motorhead and shit and stuff like that, and how the topics of our song is lots of change and missing our friends and stuff like that, and we fucking love Oi. So I don't know, it just came Motorhead, Oil Change. I don't know. It just fucking was there.
It worked.
And I fucking pitched it, and they were like, I think they thought it was dorky at first, but they're like, let's fucking roll with it. And now people are like, I kind of dig the name, dude. So
it's all about presentation, man. There's a lot of names out there that if you hear it for the first time, you might be like, what? That's that band's name? Let's take a huge band, for example, Korn.
yeah,
fair enough.
Everyone that is into any type of alternative heavy music knows who Korn is.
Right.
And Korn thought it was a good idea to, 1, name their band Korn, 2, spell it with a K and flip the R backwards.
R backwards.
Yeah.
And somehow through years and years of playing, that shit stuck, and people are like, yeah, that's sick as fuck.
Yeah, dude.
You know, like, if I was in that band meeting and my bandmate was like, dude, this is it. This is the name. I'd be like, you're out of the fucking band. That's the dumbest shit I've ever heard. You're out.
Oh, that's awesome.
But no, like, seriously, presentation, you know, it makes an impact. And like, when you say something that people are already familiar with, the phrase oil change is common in society. Everybody knows what the fucking oil change is.
Yeah.
You know, but if you are giving it some significance and how it relates to you personally and how you're using that to connect with other people and you're branding it properly, that's that's all that matters.
Oh yeah, thank you. Yeah.
No problem. So I want to address the audience here for a second. If you have questions for Oil Change or myself, now's the perfect time to submit those. You can do that by tapping that question mark icon that's on your phone. Please don't put it in the comments section. And as I see those come in, then we'll go ahead and start doing some Q&A from the audience. And also, if you missed out at the beginning of this episode, I announced that I have launched a new record label. It's called Rebellion Noise Records.
Oh.
And there's an Instagram page for that. Thank you. There's an Instagram page up for that right now. It is Rebellion_Noise_Records. If you search for it on Instagram, you'll find it easily enough. And we are going to be making some important announcements from that Instagram page very soon. One of which includes Oil Change.
What?
Having said that, let's go ahead and make another announcement. You guys talked about shit that's in the works and plans. There's something happening at the beginning of next year, January 2023. You want to tell everybody what's happening then?
Absolutely.
Go for it.
So like tickets are fucking purchased. We're gonna be going to 40 Fest and playing, and we're fucking excited. January 2023, we'll be fucking in Atlanta. We'll be fucking playing with fucking Blank 77's gonna be there.
Corrupted Youth.
It's gonna fucking rock, man. We couldn't be more fucking excited and like stoked and like grateful that we were even fucking asked to do it. So we're fucking getting out of town.
Fuck yeah.
And yeah, we'll be fucking on that plane.
Super pumped.
Yeah, I'm excited for you guys to be on that fest too. Shout out to Bill Johnson.
Absolutely.
Booking.
Such a fucking good guy,
Bill's
man.
awesome.
Like he's just been a fucking amazing dude to work with. He's got the brilliant mind of like a pro wrestling promoter. He's fucking amazing. Absolutely. I love the guy.
Yeah, you know, I had never met him prior to having him on Punk Rock Talk to talk about this year's 40 Fest. And the interview was cool, but the thing that was even cooler is after the interview, we just kept talking.
Yeah.
That's the best.
A lot. And we talk on a really consistent basis, you know. It's been kind of like at least every couple of weeks, every 3 weeks. But now we've been talking every week. And another friend of ours that I should mention, that you spoke about earlier, our friend Josh Nutting from Chicago, who also has Sounds of the Street Fest. He's helping out with 40 Fest this year too.
Nice.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. Another really great guy, someone that I talk with all the time, and I have so much respect for him. So the point of that is just, you know, there's a lot of people in this scene that actually really give a fuck about what's going on, and they're putting in the work to help connect the bands and grow the scene. So, and those are definitely two guys that are a great example of that. So shout out to both of them.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Okay, it looks like we've got some audience questions that have come through. So we're going to go ahead and start with that. And if you're out there in the audience and you have questions, tap that question mark icon to submit them. Okay. The first question comes from RV Andy Ken. Says, Sean, what was your most recent prank from NVD 138?
Is that Nick?
Yeah. Okay, so my most recent prank, dude. I mean, I haven't pulled a prank since the old LPNS days. NVD. I've retired the pranks. I think they got me in a little too much trouble with Jeremy and all the stuff we used to do there.
Oh, that's awesome.
I've toned it down. April Fools used to be very important to us.
Okay, so I'm completely in the dark with this. So I've got to hear, one example of like your most extreme prank.
Dude, I don't even know. Like these are like not even considered pranks. Like I would just be like, it's like total like fuckery. So like the same house that Matt was talking about earlier, that like that punk trailer we all used to hang out in. The dude, like, the dude that owned it, like me and him would like kind of get into it sometimes, and like I'd do shit in his bed and stuff like that.
Oh
I told
my
you.
God.
Yeah. So like that's probably like the most extreme thing. But I don't just shit in the bed. I cut a hole in your mattress and shit into the mattress.
Wow.
So you have to get rid of the mattress.
Oh, dude, he was so pissed.
He didn't get rid of the mattress. He put a garbage bag over the hole and just put a sheet back on it and slept on it.
Oh my god.
There's an Amber Heard joke in there somewhere.
Yeah,
The wheels have been turning, but I'm like, I don't even know what punchline is going to be.
Oh god.
Pretty much all you have to say is Amber Heard, and the whole world knows what you're talking about now.
Exactly.
Congratulations on being a moron.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. This next question comes from our good friend Kurt from Dismantled Records. It says, explain the title Unfinished of the upcoming LP. To me, I interpret it as you guys still have plenty of miles left in your shoes as far as your music careers go.
I'd say that's definitely like a pretty solid way to interpret it.
yeah,
That's
absolutely.
that's definitely part of it. Like some of it's about like some friends kind of just people go and they come. Like, some friends have kind of disappeared while others like stick around, and people's lives changes, so they go do different things. And then, but we're like we've always loved this, so we're gonna keep going doing it. And that goes into what he pretty much said is a really good way to put it. And another part of why it's called Unfinished is because when we wrote it, I couldn't think of any fucking choruses or anything like that. So we just had 2 verses, and we're like, let's just put it together, and we'll just finish the rest with like riffs and shit like that.
The song was literally unfinished.
So there's like a little bit of 2 different things.
That sounds to me a lot like Def Leppard songs. Like I went through this phase of like, I don't know, I don't necessarily want to call it a phase. I went through this journey of digging as deep as I could into hair metal. And Def Leppard is definitely like one of those bands, that is synonymous with the genre. And like, I started listening to some of their records, especially Pyromania and Hysteria. like it's just hook after hook after hook within a song, but the hooks don't necessarily go together.
They're just
You know,
catchy lines.
Yeah. And it's like, there's one song in particular I can't think of the name of it that's on Hysteria, and it's like every 30 seconds there's a new hook that it's like the whole section is like this awesome hook, but it sounds like a different song. And like, you know, like what the fuck is going on with the arrangement of this song? But for whatever reason it worked and people love them. I don't fucking like that band, but that's just me.
I have that record in my bin and I get drunk now and then and I will put it on.
The production value on that record is fucking fantastic. And I like to listen to it for, you know, for that, but as far as the songs go, like I would just kind of, okay, another audience question. This one comes from This Car Blows Up, okay? What influenced you guys to pick up an instrument and start a band?
Oh, shit. I mean, like, I don't know why, I always just thought guitar was fucking cool. In reality, like, I, like, listened to, like I said, like, Tom Petty when I was, like, younger. And, like, my brother and my dad listened, like, I mean, I listened to, like, a lot of 90s country and shit like that. And then Queen. Then I got into, like, fucking Blink-182 and Sum 41. And then just slowly kind of learned how to play guitar. And then just got into fucking punk. Heard, like, Dropkick, Do or Die. And, like, Bad Religion. And just loved everything about it.
Very cool.
I literally learned bass because I couldn't play guitar when I was in high school. I was too like dumb to play guitar. I didn't understand it, and then bass helped me understand music. And fuck, now I can play guitar and shit like that. But I didn't understand it, no background. And a band in high school needed a bassist, or they were forming. And I was like, I'll fucking play bass. I sold like my BMX to a pawn shop and bought a fucking bass. I learned that shit.
You're killing it. You're doing a great job.
On a side note, you don't need to learn all the crazy shit to be able to play. You can fucking do it. 'Cause I can play guitar, but I don't know shit about it.
Oh, yeah. If you hear the way we talk about songwriting, you'd be like, what kind of morons are these?
Like, I know what an E chord is because it's the open one. That's like the extent of my knowledge of some stuff.
Yeah, we understand each other, but we couldn't hang out with you and like write a song.
You know, it's funny. For me, like, I actually wanted to play drums first. And I asked my dad, hey, could I have a drum kit for my birthday? And he was like, absolutely not. He's like, oh, that's going to be way too loud. And so guitar was my second choice. And so I said, I just immediately followed up with, can I have a guitar instead? And he said, yeah, do that. So to this day, I am probably the world's best air drummer. But when it comes to like actually sitting down behind a kit and making it happen, get the fuck out of here. I can't do it.
Oh, yeah. Drums are so fucking hard, dude.
You have to have the coordination for that shit.
Yeah. Like Matt can do it. Like I always sucked at skateboarding shit too, so like I look like a total idiot behind there. Matt can fucking play drums actually though. Like Matt knows what he's doing, so he's fucking pretty talented.
I just got drawn to music stuff in general. And like, yeah, with the drum wise, and like one of my old bands, whenever we'd take breaks, they'd like go do whatever and be like, dude, can I like mess around with your drums for a little while? And then just, I don't know, figured it out kind of.
Yeah, that's one of the things, like, I'm constantly trying to dive deeper into my knowledge of music and, you know, becoming a better musician. And so I purchased a drum kit, I don't know, it's like been probably 6 months ago or something. with the hope of like actually setting it up and learning it and whatever. And I didn't know what the fuck I was doing. I was just like trying to piece together shit, you know, from people that I bought stuff off of Facebook Marketplace.
Oh yeah.
And then like once I got it all home and was trying to like figure out the hardware and to set it up, I was like, yeah, I'm missing pieces or something because this doesn't make sense. So I
Yeah.
set it all in a corner in my studio room, and it's just been sitting there ever since.
That's awesome.
Can't even put the shit together. There's too many fucking knobs and shit.
Well, at the time, like, you know, COVID was still like happening. It was kind of on its way out, but it was still happening. And so I wasn't really socializing with very many people. And like, I don't know a whole lot of people in my area because I moved back to Oklahoma like about 6 months before the pandemic started. And so you know, at that time I was just like, you know, trying to work and like kind of get settled here. So I wasn't socializing at all. I think I like what's that, maybe 2 shows. And so then during the pandemic, there's no time to like meet new people and new musicians or anything. But now I'm starting to kind of finally connect with some people. So I'm hoping that I can get a drummer buddy over here to be like, okay, yeah, this is what you need. And let's, you know, let's figure it out.
Help you out a little bit. Totally. Yeah.
Yeah. I think because like I understand the logistics of it. Like if I just sit down and commit to it, I'm sure I can figure it out and you know, do something. But yeah, it's just the time to commit to it like everything else with music.
Absolutely. Yep.
Yeah, I agree.
Britt, who would you say is like one of your big influences, one of your biggest influences as a drummer? Like when you listen to a record and you're just like, fuck, I love that drummer so much.
I have an idea.
Well, I have to say Eric Walls. He's my favorite drummer from Coffin Cats. And he actually was nice enough, we're good friends, and he was nice enough to help me get started in 2020 with some texting pointers, and really helped me before we even went to record with kind of like the basics, and I really appreciate that. We ended up, when we recorded, he loaned me or let me use his drum set to record on. So I played on that a couple of times, and he's just been such a great help and inspiration and mentor. Really all of them have been. The Coffin Cats are amazing. They're just the best. They've really helped us so much, kind of getting sidetracked. But
Yeah.
so other than that, I really like a lot of like the street punk style drumming. I'd say that's probably my favorite style and the easiest now for me to practice. I just like to just like go fast and like try to keep like a steady beat and, you know, stay on time. So that's fun. Just kind of all over the board. I don't know if I have like, I feel like I'm missing somebody super obvious that's like a huge inspiration to me, but I'm just.
Your dad?
I mean, obviously my dad. My dad, yeah, he's definitely a big one. He is.
100%.
He also is like self-taught, so that's kind of neat that we have that in common, because he would just listen to like jazz or play along to all kinds of different songs. Like Matt would have me play along to different songs, a lot of like Ramones, Coxbar, like AC/DC was another one that was suggested to just kind of like play along to and get me going. Started off. So I guess those styles really helped influence the beginning stages of the drumming, I'd say.
Very cool. Out of curiosity, have you tried practicing to a metronome?
Oh yeah, actually Vic Victor from Coffin Cats, he was a huge help with the drumming in several ways so far as well. He really encouraged me and helped me find a metronome that works with my ear, because at first I couldn't do it on my own, just trying to do it by myself. And when we went in to record, he was like, you don't have to use a metronome for our first EP, but I strongly suggest learning. Him and Eric both said this. It won't hurt to learn, and just you're going to want to know how to do it eventually at some point. So with Vic's help and guidance, I was able to get it down for our second time in the recording studio. And I love it now. It's just it finally clicked when we were actually recording. I was like, oh, okay, that makes sense. So
Yeah, we found like the right sounding one that
it's like
works.
a snare sounding
It
one.
does.
So yeah,
Yeah.
that makes a big difference now.
I was curious about that because listening to the most recent single, I was like, those drums sound very consistent. The timing sounds on point throughout the whole song.
Good.
And, that's something that I wish that I had learned about earlier. My first band and like the early days of the Havoc never did anything to a click track. And we didn't learn about it until afterwards. And if I could, go back in time, I would have been like, hey guys, we should learn how to do this because, it's like he told you, you're going to want to know how to do it eventually.
Mm-hmm.
And like, even if you don't use it, like, consistently in the studio, but even if you just use it to like find the right tempo for that particular song and just start it off with that.
Yeah, that helps a lot because that's what we did the second time. We didn't at all use it the first time recording, and then the second time I definitely felt a lot more comfortable, even just having it start off like you're saying.
Yeah, there's some records that I absolutely love the drumming on that I was surprised to learn that there wasn't a click track involved. One of those is The Anger and the Truth.
Really?
Yeah. The first time I heard that record, well, first of all, it starts with the drums.
Oh, yeah.
And they sound so amazing, just powerful and like in a big room and punchy. And man, that record is easily 20 years old now.
It's like one of my favorite records for sure.
Yeah, it's so good. Like the guitar tones are so clean and perfect. Like the vocals are all really good. Like, and I loved that they did a lot of the back and forth at that time. But, and two different drummers on that record because Mark and Paul were both drumming.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I had a conversation with Paul, like it's been a while ago, years at this point, but just talking with him on Facebook Messenger, and I asked him about that, like, it's because especially that song, "The Anger and the Truth," like the tempo doesn't feel like it fluctuates at all.
No.
And I was just curious. I was like, "Did you guys use a click track on that?" He's like, "No." Like, you guys are fucking solid drummers, man.
Just fucking killed it, apparently.
Yeah. Okay, it looks like we have another audience question, so we're going to do that real quick, and then we are running out of time, so we're going to have to wrap this up soon, unfortunately. Okay, it looks like we've got a couple of them. So this one comes from our friend Rob Riot 9. Sean, how long was the song Anthem written before you guys decided to use it with the band? Stoked to see you guys in Atlanta.
Yeah, I wrote Anthem, I don't know, probably like 2 years before we even,
something like that.
Yeah, 2 years before we even jammed it. I've been fucking around with that song and like posting it on Instagram and shit. Like Rob's my boy. He's fucking heard me play that shit on acoustic guitar and stuff. Terribly, but yeah, I wrote that a while ago. A lot of the shit that like was put into this band was shit that like me and Matt had stored up,
Yeah,
from like
sure.
after the babies and shit like that. And we just kind of put some shit that we had stored up together and just kind of turned into an oil change.
Yeah.
Awesome. One more question, again from Envy Andy Ken. I'm sorry if I'm not saying that correctly. Says, what's your favorite record now?
I mean, I'm just gonna go with Street Rats. See You at the Bottom.
Cool.
That's probably up there for sure.
What about you guys?
Oh man.
My favorite record ever is going to be Coxbar Shock Troops. Always will be.
That's a good one.
Oh yeah, I guess ever. probably that counts.
Yeah.
Straying from the Pack by Coffin Cats.
Cool. What about favorite records outside of the punk genre?
Grateful Dead, Wake of the Flood, best album ever written.
Yeah.
Joe Cocker, exclamation point, second best record ever put out.
Fuck, I don't know.
Oh, I know, I'm drawing like I have a pretty sweet Elton John record that I love.
Hell yeah. I'm with that.
He's on his farewell tour right now, isn't he?
Yeah, I heard that. I want to
Yeah.
go. That would be great.
Yeah. He came through here, and I really wanted. He was supposed to come here just before the pandemic started, and then he had to, reschedule. And then once he finally got it rescheduled for a solid date, there's no way I was going to be able to go because we had a newborn and just
Oh, yeah.
So I'm sorry that I missed it because I love Elton John.
He's
Oh, yeah,
amazing.
so good.
So great.
Shit, I don't know. I guess I'd say I can't think of the name of the album, but Stray Cats.
It's a good
the
one.
Stray Cats album.
Have you ever seen Brian Setzer live?
No, but I want to so bad.
Yeah, me neither. I'd love to see him also.
Yeah, that'd be amazing.
That dude that's one of my
Greatest
favorite guitarists for
guitarist, yeah.
sure.
I think he's one of the most underrated musicians in history.
I would
Yeah.
agree with that. Yeah,
He's
totally.
so
I definitely
talented.
agree with that.
Amazing.
Yeah, and not just as a guitarist, but just everything. I mean, just the whole visual element and just the live energy. And he also has a project that he does for Christmas every year. I think he does.
Yeah.
Oh, I do know what you're talking
Yeah,
about.
he does Christmas shit every year. Does he put an album out every year or something?
I don't know if he puts out an album, but he does a live performance with a full swing band, I think is what it is.
Yeah,
like the
yeah.
Brian Setzer orchestra shit, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Super cool.
Yeah. So rad. Yeah, I listen to his Christmas shit every holiday season. That's in my house all day.
Awesome.
On that note, Kings of Nothing is up there too.
Oh yeah, great band.
They're fucking killer.
Right on. Well, it is that time. We do have to bring this episode to a close. But before we do that, any shout outs?
Yeah, absolutely. Fucking Kurt, Dismantled Records.
What's up, Kurt?
Yeah, Kurt's the fucking man. He's our boy.
You're awesome, Kurt.
He's the fucking fourth fucking oil change.
Yeah.
So yeah, fucking Kurt, Victor, Renee, Coffin Cats.
Yeah.
Marco from No Front Teeth's done a lot to help us out. Bram, Truck Stop Toilet Records.
Yeah. Noxious Chicago.
Noxious Chicago. Done a lot to help us out. And then fucking Havoc, you're fucking Bill. Bill's the fucking man.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's the fucking handful. It's Greg Lonesome, Rock and Roll Manifesto as well. That's our boy.
And Murph from Skeletons.
Murph from Skeletons, our local venue.
Right on. Kurt's a great dude. We've talked about, some other great dudes earlier in this episode, but Kurt and I have talked a lot, and man, that guy, he's so committed. If anybody isn't aware, I had him as a guest recently, and you can find that episode on our YouTube channel, but he's doing a lot for the scene, and he's working hard. He's putting his hard-earned money into his label. So shout out to Kurt.
Yeah.
For real.
Absolutely, yeah. He puts out great bands and just works his ass off. Physically works his ass off to support the scene. So fucking great dude.
I have to give a shout out real quick because I came across something on Facebook and Instagram today that concerned me, but my buddy Mike Virus is having some health issues, and Cheap Sex are having to cancel shows that they had lined up. So it has something to do with artery blockage, and from what I saw. So Mike, I love you, man. Hang in there. You're going to get through this shit. And yeah, shout out to him and Cheap Sex. I love those guys.
Yeah, absolutely. Get well, yeah.
Feel better.
Having said that, would you guys like to announce who next week's guest is going to be on Punk Rock Talk?
Oh, yeah. Who was that?
The Parasitics.
Oh, shit. The Parasitics. What?
Fucking sick.
Fuck yeah, dude. It's going to be great.
Another great band that's working hard. Excited to have them on here.
Yeah, they rip, dude. They're fucking amazing.
Before I wrap up this episode, I just want to address the audience one last time. I made an announcement earlier on today's episode. Rebellion Noise Records. You need to check that shit out here on Instagram. Search for it, Rebellion Noise Records. You'll find it easily. There's a lot of announcements that are going to be made on that Instagram page in the very near future. One of them, the first announcement actually, is going to be Oil Change playing 40 Fest, which we talked about earlier.
Thank you. Hell yeah.
We're honored.
We are going to be announcing all of the bands that are playing 40 Fest on the Rebellion Noise Records page, as well as the 40 Ounce booking page. So make sure that you're following those pages if you're not yet. Trust me, a lot of good shit's happening for the scene with 40 Ounce booking, and more to come with Rebellion Noise Records. All right, guys. Well, thanks again for taking the time to be on this episode of Punk Rock Talk. I really enjoyed talking with each of you, and I can't wait to continue the conversation outside of this interview.
Absolutely.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you so much for having
Thank
us.
you.
It's been amazing,
Fun.
man. Fucking
No
rad.
problem. All right, everybody, to close us out, this is Oil Change. We'll see you next time here on Punk Rock Talk.
Cheers.
Later.
Bye.